The moment Maya Carter stepped into the first-class cabin, 32 years old, soft brown skin, delicate curls pinned behind her ears, a silk sweater clinging to her exhausted frame with her 7-month-old baby strapped to her chest, Vanessa Lorne's voice knifed through the air. "Great," she sneered loudly enough for half the aisle to hear. "Another discount ticket charity case dragging a screaming accessory into first class, because of course she would." Heads turned, appalled, judging, not at Vanessa, at Maya. Maya kept her eyes low. She had learned long ago that airports were not forgiving places for women who looked like her. Vanessa stepped closer, slim, blonde, 29, porcelain skin, and a model's arrogance. She towered over Maya like she owned the cabin. "You people just can't stay where you belong, can you?" Vanessa hissed. "Coach was full, so now first class has to suffer." Maya swallowed. "Ma'am, I just need to get to my seat, please." Vanessa's grin sharpened. "Oh, she speaks. I thought you'd grunt or snap your fingers like the last one." A couple of white passengers chuckled softly. Still, Maya clutched her baby and moved forward, whispering, "Please, Lord, help me," under her breath. But Vanessa stepped directly into her path. "What's that thing on your chest?" she barked. "A carrier? Did you even ask if that's allowed, or did you just assume rules don't apply to you?" Maya kept her voice calm. "It's FAA approved. I use it every week. I'm just asking for a seatbelt extender." Vanessa leaned in, so close Maya felt her breath. "Oh, I'm sure you're used to asking for extensions. Benefits, vouchers, upgrades, pity, whatever gets handed out for free." Laughter tittered behind her. Maya's baby whimpered softly. And then Vanessa snapped. She raised her hand and slapped Maya across the face, so hard that Maya's head jerked sideways, her curls whipping through the air, her knees buckling under the shock. The baby cried instantly, terrified. Passengers froze. Then Vanessa gasped theatrically, clutching her cheek. "She tried to hit me while holding the baby. Did you all see that?" A white businessman muttered, "I saw her lunge. Some people shouldn't be in first class." Another woman chimed in, "She's being dramatic. These types always are." Maya's ears rang, her vision blurred. She held her baby tighter, whispering, "Shh, Mommy's here," even as her own tears threatened to fall. But Vanessa wasn't done. "Oh, don't start crying," she mocked loudly. "That's your people's favorite trick. Cry, claim oppression, blame everyone else." "Ma'am, please. You slapped me," Maya whispered. Vanessa scoffed. "Oh, stop. If I slapped you for real, you'd be on the floor. Now step aside before you ruin the mood for the paying customers." Someone added, "Yeah, don't bring your drama here." Another echoed, "Maybe she's used to chaos. Look at her." The walls closed in around Maya. She felt small, alone, trapped. She touched her stinging cheek, breath trembling. "Why are you doing this? I haven't done anything." Vanessa rolled her eyes. "You existing in this cabin is doing plenty." A man in seat 1A leaned toward Vanessa. "Don't worry, sweetheart, we've got your back." Then he shot Maya a disgusted look. "We don't want this kind of troublemaker ruining the flight." The group murmured in agreement, forming a protective ring around Vanessa, a circle of privilege. Maya's baby began sobbing even harder. Vanessa pointed sharply. "That noise is unacceptable. If you can't control your child, I'll have the captain remove you both. And don't think playing the victim will work. Everyone here saw your attitude." Maya felt faint. Her knees trembled. She bit her lip, closed her eyes, and whispered the Bible sentence she kept in her heart. "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" But fear was exactly what she felt. When she opened her eyes, Vanessa was inches from her face. "You better fix your tone," the flight attendant said coldly, "because the captain listens to me, not some entitled mother pretending she matters." A white woman added, "If you can't behave, just get off the plane." Another, "Honestly, she shouldn't be in first class at all." Another, "I knew she'd cause trouble." Maya looked around, searching for one kind face, one voice of reason. There was none. The humiliation tightened around her throat like a rope, but in the front row, behind a lowered iPad, one man watched everything with blood-hot fury rising in his chest. Elias Carter, her husband, 40, quiet power, deep brown skin, CEO of the very airline that was tearing his wife apart. He stayed silent, observing, his jaw clenched so tight a muscle pulsed beneath his cheekbone. He had seen arrogance. He had seen injustice, but nothing compared to watching a flight attendant slap his wife, then weaponize an entire cabin to torment her while she held their child. Not yet, not now, but soon everything would burn. If you have ever been silenced, humiliated, or surrounded by people who wanted to crush your dignity, then what happens next with Maya Carter will make you stand to your feet. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with Dignity Voices to follow the journey. But when the captain arrives and the passengers unite to condemn her, Maya learns that the slap was only the beginning. "Captain, we've got a problem passenger up here," Vanessa announced, already in performance mode. Her voice was high, tight, perfectly calibrated to sound like a victim. "She's unstable. She just tried to attack me while holding her baby. I don't feel safe." The cockpit door cracked open. The captain stepped out, mid-50s, white, square jaw that practiced airline. Authority that had ended countless arguments with one raised eyebrow. His name tag read Captain K. Harrison. He scanned the scene, Maya in the aisle, cheek still red, baby screaming in the carrier on her chest, Vanessa spotless and composed, first-class passengers watching like an audience waiting for the villain to be cuffed. "What's going on here?" he asked. Vanessa rushed forward, placing a trembling hand on her chest. "She's been aggressive from the moment she boarded. Gave me an attitude, refused to follow instructions, then lunged at me. I'm honestly shaken, Captain." Maya's mouth fell open. "That's not true," she said, voice trembling. "She slapped me. I was just trying to get to my seat with my son. She hit me. In the face." The captain barely looked at her. His eyes moved to the cluster of white passengers who'd already decided how this story would be told. "Did anyone see what happened?" he asked. The man in 1A lifted his hand. "Yeah, Captain. She was being really rude, loud, entitled. The attendant was just trying to do her job." A woman with diamond earrings added, "She escalated everything. The baby was already disruptive, and she started getting hysterical. The crew warned her. I saw her jerk forward," another chimed in helpfully. "It looked threatening. Vanessa didn't do anything wrong." No one mentioned the slap. No one mentioned the laughter. No one mentioned the words, "you people." Maya turned in a circle, stunned. "You all saw what she did to me. Please," she begged, eyes burning. "My face is still stinging. I'm holding a baby. Why would I attack anyone?" "Ma'am," the captain said, voice firm, "I need you to lower your voice." Maya flinched. She hadn't realized it had risen. "I am not raising my voice," she insisted. "I'm telling you she assaulted me." The baby cried harder, sensing her mother's panic. "Oh, listen to that," Vanessa said with a dramatic sigh. "We cannot complete a 5-hour flight with that level of chaos, Captain. The rest of the cabin deserves to feel safe." A murmur of agreement rippled through the seats. "Exactly," someone said. "I paid premium for peace, not this circus," another added. "Take her off the plane," another muttered. "She's a liability." It wasn't just a cabin anymore. It was a courtroom, and Maya had been cast as the criminal. The captain squared his shoulders. "Ma'am, I'm responsible for the safety of every soul on this aircraft. When my crew tells me they feel threatened or unsafe, I have to act." "So you're just going to take her word?" Maya asked, incredulous. "Just hers? You're not going to check cameras? Ask anyone who actually saw the slap?" "She already told you we all saw it," the man in 1A said. "This is wasting everyone's time." "Captain," a woman said in a hushed tone loud enough for everyone to hear, "I hate to say it, but she fits the profile of those viral videos. Start calm, then they go crazy and claim discrimination. I don't feel comfortable with her on here either. Vanessa folded her arms, watching Maya crumble. It's not about your comfort, Maya said, voice cracking. It's about the fact that I was hit while holding my baby, and you're all just, pretending it didn't happen. The baby's cries became piercing. A few passengers audibly groaned. See? Vanessa said. Completely out of control. The captain let out a slow breath, decision settling into his bones. Ma'am, if you cannot compose yourself, I will have to ask you to leave this flight. Maya stared at him like he'd just told her gravity no longer worked. Leave? She repeated. It's a red-eye. I have a connection. I have a job, a life. I didn't do anything wrong. I was attacked. Vanessa's lips curled. You're disturbing the cabin. The baby's disturbing the cabin. And you're refusing to follow crew instructions. This is why we have policies. In seat 2C, behind his tablet, Elias Carter felt his chest tighten until it hurt. His hands balled into fists, knuckles white. Every instinct screamed at him to stand, to roar her title. That is my wife, that is my child, and this is my airline. But he stayed silent, watching, memorizing faces, names, words. His eyes etched every detail into his mind like evidence. The captain signaled to the gate agent now standing in the galley. We're not pushing back yet. Call security. We're removing her. No, Maya whispered. Please, please don't do this. I didn't do anything. Don't take me off this plane like I'm some criminal. I have my baby. Please don't make me walk that aisle while everyone stares. Vanessa shrugged. Actions have consequences, ma'am. Maybe next time you'll think twice before disrespecting people who are just trying to work. You hit me, Maya repeated, as if saying it enough times might make someone finally hear her. You hit me. I'll tell the police. I'll tell everyone. Oh, there it is, a passenger scoffed. The drama. The threats. Classic. The security officers arrived, a pair of uniformed guards with tired eyes who'd seen one too many incidents. Ma'am, we're going to have to ask you to gather your belongings and step off the aircraft, one said. If you refuse, we'll have to escort you. Maya looked down at her son, his tiny fists waving, soaked cheeks pressed against her chest. I'm begging you, she whispered. Please don't do this in front of my baby. Please don't drag us through here like a spectacle. But the decision had already been made. The passengers shifted to clear the aisle. Phones rose quietly, some to record, most to gawk. As the guards gently took her by the arm, Maya felt something inside her splinter. She lifted her chin, even as shame scorched her veins. The walk down the aisle felt like a public execution. Passengers watched her as if she were a wild animal finally contained. There she goes, someone muttered. Good riddance, another said. Maybe next time she'll stay where she belongs. Maya bit the inside of her cheek so hard she tasted blood. Tears blurred her vision as she clutched her baby so tightly he squirmed. She wanted to scream, to curse, to flip every tray and rip every smug expression from their faces. Instead, all she could manage was one trembling whisper. I didn't do anything, over and over, like a broken prayer. Near the front, as she passed row 1, she felt a familiar presence, a scent she knew better than her own thoughts. For a second, her eyes brushed against Elias's. There was fire in his. There was heartbreak. There was a storm so fierce it almost made her stumble. But his face gave nothing away. He only nodded once, barely perceptible to anyone else, like a promise carved in stone. I see you. I see all of it. This is not the end. Then she was past him, out of the cabin, out of the plane, into the cold neon glare of the jet bridge. Behind her, the door sealed with a hollow thud. Inside, Vanessa smoothed her uniform, leaning toward 1A with a satisfied smile. Sorry for the inconvenience, she purred. We just can't take chances these days. In 2C, Elias closed his eyes. The airline he built had just dragged his wife and infant out like trash, and somewhere deep inside, A fuse burned down to its final spark. The hotel room was silent, except for the soft, hiccuping cries of a baby who had cried himself into exhaustion. Maya sat on the edge of the bed, still in the same travel clothes, her cheek faintly swollen where Vanessa's hand had landed. Her 7-month-old son lay curled against her chest, finally asleep. But Maya wasn't sleeping. Her eyes were red, her hands shook, her soul felt bruised. The humiliation of the cabin still clung to her skin like smoke. She didn't know how she got from the jet bridge to the small airport hotel room. She only remembered the stares, the whispers, the recording phones, the way the guards avoided her eyes, as if kindness might accidentally validate her humanity. And the sentence she repeated, "I didn't do anything," still trembled in her bones. The door clicked. Elias Carter stepped inside. But he didn't look like the CEO of SkyWest Global. He didn't look like the billionaire airline architect who'd rebuilt an empire. Right now, he looked like a husband, standing in the ruins of his own heart. His jaw was tight, his eyes dark, his shoulders rigid with a fury he had forced down for hours. Maya lifted her head when she saw his face, his controlled heartbreak. Something inside her broke open. "Elias," she whispered. He crossed the room in 3 long strides and knelt in front of her. He didn't speak. He didn't ask her to explain. He didn't need to. He simply placed his hand on her knee and lowered his forehead to her lap, like a man bowing before the weight of the world. Maya's breath shattered, her body folded over his, her tears landing in his hair as she whispered, "They dragged me off the plane holding our baby. They called me unstable. They said I caused everything. Elias, they hit me. She slapped me. And they all acted like they didn't see it." Elias inhaled sharply, pain, rage, regret, all tangled in one breath. "Maya," he murmured, voice thick, "I saw everything." Her whole body tensed. You were there?" He lifted his head. His eyes burned. "I was in 2C. Her heart stopped. "You watched?" "Yes." "Why didn't you—" "Because if I had stood up in that moment," he said quietly, "it would have been about me. The CEO defending his wife, the billionaire throwing a tantrum, and the truth of what they did to you would have been twisted into privilege, favoritism, damage control." He took her hand gently. "I needed to see the full truth of what this airline, my airline, allowed. I needed to see who they really were when they thought no one powerful was watching." Maya swallowed, throat tight. "Then what happens now?" Elias stood, and that was when Maya saw it. The fire, the cold surgical fire of a man preparing for war. "I started the investigation before I even stepped off that plane," Elias said. He opened his laptop on the table. Files filled the screen. Security logs, crew reports, cabin footage, timestamps. Maya blinked. "You already got the security footage?" "I have every camera angle from the gate to the first-class galley," he said. "Requested the moment I left the aircraft." He clicked another window open. "And I've already pulled 5 passenger videos. People recorded everything without realizing what they caught in the background." He played one. Vanessa's raised hand, the crack of the slap, Maya's head whipping sideways, the baby's wail. Maya flinched as if struck again. Elias paused the frame on her face, her pain frozen in a single moment. "I'm so sorry you went through this," he whispered. "I'm sorry I didn't stop it in the moment, but I swear to you, I will destroy the system that let it happen." Maya gripped the bedsheet. "You don't have to destroy anything, Elias. I just want the truth. I just want them to know what they did was wrong." He turned toward her slowly. "The truth will come out, but justice is not passive." He clicked another tab. Internal complaint logs. A list filled the screen, all bearing the same pattern. Rude to black passengers, dismissive toward women traveling with children, 3 accusations of verbal harassment, 2 accusations of physical intimidation, all marked resolved, unsubstantiated, or passenger misunderstanding. Maya's breath caught. "This is her pattern." "It was buried," Elias said, "by her supervisors, by her base manager, by the union rep who kept her record clean for years. So, they knew? Maya asked. Oh, they knew, Elias said. And tomorrow, they answer for it. He paced once, the storm inside him tightening. They humiliated my wife. They endangered my child. They lied to my face, on my flight, wearing my uniform, under my brand. He stopped. And worst of all, they thought they'd get away with it. Maya's voice broke soft. Elias, I'm scared of what comes next. He came back, lifted her chin gently with his fingers. Then he whispered, Scripture, not as a CEO, not as a strategist, but as her husband. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. Maya exhaled shakily. I'm with you, Elias said. But I need to ask, do you want this to stay quiet, or do you want them to be held accountable? She looked at her sleeping baby, at her trembling hands, at the bruise forming on her cheek, and she realized her answer wasn't just for her. It was for every woman who'd been silenced, every mother dragged through humiliation, every black traveler who'd been treated as a threat rather than a human being. She lifted her chin. Hold them accountable. Elias nodded once, like a general accepting an order. Then tomorrow, he said, we burn down the lies. The laptop screen glowed against the dark room, evidence spread across it like the blueprint of a revolution. Outside, the city slept. Inside, justice awakened. If you have ever carried proof of your pain in silence, then what Elias uncovers next will make your heart pound. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with Dignity Voices to follow the truth as it comes to light. Because at sunrise, Elias summons the entire crew to the terminal, and the moment he reveals who he really is, the room explodes. The conference room beside Gate 14 was too bright, too sterile. Walls of glass, a long table, and a cold hush that made the fluorescent lights buzz like interrogation lamps. It looked nothing like a battlefield, but by the time the meeting ended, no one inside it would leave unscathed. Vanessa Lorne walked in first, heels clicking like she owned the terminal. 29, blonde perfection, blue eyes sharp enough to slice. Her uniform was crisp, her hair immaculate, and her expression carried the same entitlement she'd worn the night she slapped Elias Carter. Behind her came the captain, the base manager, the union representative, and 2 senior attendants. They moved with the cautious confidence of people who believed the company would protect them, because it always had. Morning, the base manager, Doyle Mercer, said, adjusting his glasses. We'll make this quick. Corporate wants a review of last night's passenger disturbance. Standard procedure. Vanessa smirked. Good. I'd like this over with. I've already been up half the night writing my report. Captain Harrison grunted in agreement. We followed policy. The passenger was unstable. Distressed infant, escalating behavior. Crew safety comes first. A couple of senior attendants nodded. They had rehearsed this. They had the confidence of people who thought lies were just another part of paperwork. The door opened. A tall, brown-skinned man walked in wearing a charcoal jacket and no tie. Calm, controlled. His presence made the room straighten subconsciously, though no one recognized him yet. Vanessa barely glanced at him. Finally, let's get this over. He set a laptop down at the head of the table. Thank you all for coming, he said, voice low but steady. Sit. They obeyed without thinking. I'm here to conduct a full review of Flight 739, he continued, from boarding to removal. Mercer cleared his throat. And you are? You'll know soon, the man replied simply. He tapped a key. The wall screen lit up. Vanessa crossed her arms, already impatient. Look, I filed my statement. If this is about that aggressive woman... He held up a hand. She went silent. He pressed play. The screen showed the boarding gate camera. Maya stepping forward holding her 7-month-old. Vanessa's eyes narrowing. The disdain in her tone. Another discount ticket charity case dragging a screaming accessory into first class. The room shifted. A few stiffened. Vanessa's face paled slightly. "That audio is taken out of—" "Watch," the man said. The footage fast-forwarded, Maya asking for a seatbelt extender, Vanessa blocking her path, coded insults. "You people can't stay where you belong." Mocking humiliation. Then the moment. Vanessa's hand rose and slapped Maya hard across the face. The sound cracked through the speakers. The baby's cry followed a beat later. Maya staggered. No one in the room breathed. The man paused the video at the impact. "Your report," he said quietly, eyes on Vanessa, "states the passenger lunged at you, and you raised a defensive hand that made no contact." Vanessa swallowed. I felt threatened. She moved toward me." The man pressed another key. Passenger cell phone footage appeared. The slap again, clearer, closer. Vanessa smirking afterward, her fake gasp. "She tried to hit me while holding the baby." Gasps rippled through the room. He clicked again, another video from a different passenger. The same truth, the same violence, the same lie. The captain finally spoke, voice thin. "Sir, we couldn't see all this on the plane. We acted based on what we were told." "What you were told," the man repeated, "or what you wanted to believe." Silence. He turned to Mercer next. "These complaints," he said, flipping a file open on the screen. 11 of them. 6 about racial bias, 3 about verbal harassment, 2 about physical intimidation. All closed, all dismissed. Mercer adjusted his collar. "Sir, employees deserve protection from frivolous claims. We evaluated each incident, and the findings are falsified." The man finished for him. Conveniently, consistently, systematically. The union rep bristled. "We have to defend our crew." "Even the ones who assault mothers holding infants?" he asked softly. Her jaw locked. The man closed the laptop halfway, letting the airline's logo gleam on its lid. "Perhaps now," he said, "it's time I introduce myself." Vanessa frowned. "You're corporate. We get it." The base manager forced a shaky smile. "Mr. He stood still, shoulders square, voice even. "My name is Elias Carter." A collective shock rippled through the room. "As in," Mercer stuttered. "Yes," Elias said, "CEO and founder of SkyWest Global." Vanessa's face drained of color. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Elias didn't raise his voice. "When I boarded Flight 739 last night, I came as a passenger. I sat quietly in seat 2C. I watched my wife, Maya Carter, walk in holding our infant son." Someone dropped a pen. "I watched her ask politely for assistance. I watched her get insulted. I watched her get slapped. And I watched this crew lie, manipulate passengers, and drag my wife off a plane like a criminal while she protected our crying baby." Vanessa's lips trembled. "Sir? I didn't know—" "That's exactly the problem," Elias said. "You didn't care who she was, only what she looked like." The captain bowed his head. The union rep closed her eyes. Mercer shrank into his seat. Elias opened the laptop again. "Effective immediately," he said, each word precise. "Vanessa Lorne is terminated for assault, falsifying official documents, and discriminatory conduct." Vanessa stood abruptly. "Please, you can't. My job, my career." "You destroyed your own career," Elias replied. He turned to the base manager. "Doyle Mercer, you are suspended pending full investigation into suppression of multiple passenger complaints." Mercer sputtered. "I was following—" "You were following convenience," Elias said, "not truth." He faced Captain Harrison next. "Your conduct will undergo formal review. SkyWest does not remove victims to keep abusers comfortable." Then Elias scanned the room. "This ends today. The culture that protected this behavior will be dismantled. Every buried complaint will be reopened. Every victim will be contacted. And this company will no longer silence the people we swear to serve." He closed the laptop with a soft click, a sound that felt like a gavel. "No one," Elias said, voice quiet but immovable. will ever be treated the way my wife was treated on my airline again. Outside in the terminal, passengers moved casually toward their gates, unaware of the storm that had just broken inside SkyWest Global. Inside the room, the Queen of the Isle had fallen, and the system that protected her had begun to collapse. The moment the conference room door shut behind Elias, the entire terminal felt different, like the air pressure had shifted, like truth itself had detonated and was still echoing through the walls. Word spread fast. By the time Elias walked Maya into the executive response lounge, HR directors, attorneys, and regional leaders were already waiting, stiff-backed, pale, and bracing for impact. Maya moved slowly, her baby cradled against her chest, still asleep after the long night. Her cheek bore the faint outline of where Vanessa's hand had struck her. The bruise hadn't faded, neither had the humiliation. The room went silent when she entered, as if royalty had arrived, except no one bowed. They stared, not at her beauty, not at her strength, but at their own guilt reflected back at them, at the woman they had allowed to be dragged across a terminal like a criminal. A few cleared their throats, some lowered their gazes. One man quietly removed his company badge, as if ashamed to wear it in her presence. Elias stood beside her, no warmth in his posture. He didn't touch her, he didn't need to. His presence was a fortress around her, one she had never expected to need. "Let's begin," Elias said, voice a quiet command. The HR director stepped forward, clutching a thick folder labeled with Maya's name. "Mrs. Carter, first, on behalf of the airline, I want to say, don't you dare apologize yet," Elias said without even looking at him. "Not until she hears the truth." He nodded to the lead attorney. She opened her laptop, projecting a screen onto the wall. Complaint files, dozens, some old, some recent, all buried. "Vanessa Lorne has had 11 complaints filed against her," the attorney began. 6 involved racial bias, 3 alleged verbal harassment, 2 indicated physical intimidation. Maya's breath hitched. 11? "Correct," the attorney replied, voice low. "Every single one was closed without action. Each one was dismissed by her supervisors as passenger misunderstanding or crew error not reflected in evidence." Maya's eyes burned. "So, she did this before?" "Not the slap," the attorney said. "But words that cut. Words designed to humiliate. Patterns of targeting passengers who looked like—" She stumbled, catching herself. "Passengers similar to you," she finished. Maya swallowed hard. "So, your system protected her?" "No," Elias corrected sharply. "They protected each other." He pointed at the files. Supervisors ignored them. Union reps buried them. Managers expedited clean record requests. Everyone played along. The HR director looked sick. "Mr. Carter, we take full responsibility for—" "You take responsibility now," Elias said. "But not when she was slapped. Not when she was dragged off my plane. Not when her baby screamed and no one lifted a finger to help her. Don't pretend you acted. You didn't." Maya's eyes filled. It was both painful and liberating to hear him say it aloud. One woman, regional senior manager, impeccably dressed, flawless hair, finally stepped forward. "Mrs. Carter, I watched the footage you experienced last night." Her voice trembled. "If that were me, holding my baby, and someone struck me like that—" She broke off, tears forming. "I don't know how you stood." Maya looked down at her son's small, sleeping face. "I stood because I didn't have a choice." Elias turned to her gently. "Tell them what it felt like." Maya blinked. "Elias, You don't owe them anything," he said. "But the truth deserves a voice, and yours is the only one that matters today." Maya inhaled slowly. Her voice was soft, but every person in the room leaned in as if she held a sword. "When she slapped me," Maya began, "my first thought wasn't about myself. It was about my son. That somehow he would remember the sound of it. That his first memory of an airplane would be fear. A few eyes reddened. I didn't scream. I didn't fight back. I didn't want to drop him. I just kept whispering to him that everything would be okay. She paused. But then the passengers turned on me, and I felt erased, like I wasn't a customer, or a woman, or even a human being. I was just something they wanted to remove. She swallowed, wiping her cheek. I begged them not to drag me out, not in front of my baby, and they did it anyway. Her voice cracked. And what broke me the most wasn't the slap. It was the way they looked at me, like I deserved it. Silence fell. Then Maya whispered a verse she had repeated through tears last night. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Someone in the back quietly sobbed. Elias turned to the room. Now you understand why Vanessa being fired is only the beginning. On cue, the door opened. Vanessa Lorne was escorted in by 2 security agents. She was not polished anymore. Her bun had loosened. Her lipstick smudged. Her hands trembled. She looked like a queen stripped of her crown, suddenly aware of the world she'd built collapsing beneath her. The moment she saw Maya, she froze. Maya nudged the baby closer to her chest, instinctively protective. Vanessa inhaled, ready to speak, perhaps a denial, perhaps a plea. But Elias lifted a hand. No performances, he said flatly. No excuses. No tears you think will help? You will listen. Vanessa closed her mouth. The HR director opened the termination documents. Ms. Lorne, as of this morning, your employment with SkyWest Global is permanently revoked for cause. Vanessa's breath shook. Please, this job is everything. It was, Elias corrected, until you used it to harm someone. He nodded to the security team. Escort her out. Vanessa's face crumbled. She didn't scream. She didn't argue. She just stared at Maya with a haunted expression, like she was seeing the person she had slapped for the first time. Then she was gone. The room exhaled. Elias placed a hand on Maya's back. This, he said, is what accountability looks like. But Maya shook her head gently. No, she whispered. Accountability is not enough. Other women went through what I did. They were silenced, ignored, buried. You can't undo what Vanessa did, but you can stop it from happening again. Elias met her eyes, and for the first time today, something softened in him. You're right, he said softly. You're absolutely right. The attorney stepped forward. Mrs. Carter, would you be willing to speak at the press briefing? Not for PR, but for truth. For every passenger who was dismissed. Maya felt her heart shift. Fear, pain, strength, all braided together. I'll speak, she said, but not just for me. She looked at her son. I'll speak for the future he deserves. Elias nodded once. Then he gave a quiet command that sent everyone scrambling. Prepare the press room. If you have ever wished someone would finally stand up and speak the truth, then what Maya is about to do next will leave you breathless. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with Dignity Voices to follow her rise. Because once the system collapses, the airline itself is forced to face the world, and Maya becomes the voice they never expected. By sunrise, SkyWest Global was no longer an airline. It was a crime scene. News stations looped the slap from every angle. Commentators argued over guilt, bias, and accountability. Hashtags surged. And justice for Maya, and airlines must answer. Baby on board. Footage of Maya being dragged down the aisle, baby screaming, her eyes full of humiliation, spread across the world like wildfire. And with every replay, the public outrage grew. Inside SkyWest headquarters, the 28th floor executive crisis suite, known as the War Room, buzzed with panic. But the tension wasn't loud. It was quiet, suffocating, like everyone was waiting for a verdict none of them wanted, but all of them deserved. Screens lined the walls, showing news channels, social media dashboards, and flight operation metrics. Every screen displayed the same story: a black mother assaulted and humiliated on a flight owned by the company whose logo glowed above their heads. Executives filed in one by one, pale, sweating, shaken. Then the door opened. Elias Carter entered. He did not slam doors or shout. He didn't need to. His silence was more dangerous than rage. He took the head of the table. He didn't sit. "Let's begin," he said. Instantly, the room stilled. The head of communications cleared his throat. "Mr. Carter, the media is demanding a statement. They want answers." "They'll get answers when we're done," Elias replied. "Not before." The HR director, a woman with trembling hands, said, "Sir, the termination of Vanessa Lorne created backlash among some crew unions. They're asking for clarification." "Oh, they'll get clarification," Elias said. "Today." He tapped a button on the table. All screens shifted. Complaint logs, internal emails, buried appeals, dismissed reports. Dozens of them. "This," Elias said, "is the real crisis." Executives leaned forward, horrified. A VP muttered, "I didn't know the volume was this high." "You didn't look," Elias replied. The lead counsel adjusted her glasses. "Sir, we can prepare a carefully worded apology." "No scripted apology," Elias said. "No corporate fog. We tell the truth, all of it." A murmur. Fear, shock. The attorney hesitated. "Sir, that kind of transparency may expose us to liability." Elias's jaw tightened. "Liability," he said slowly, "is what happens when you hide the truth. Accountability is what happens when you walk toward it." Silence. The operations director finally spoke. "Sir, we've started internal interviews. Many crew believe Vanessa's behavior was extreme. But some feel the passenger may have—" Elias cut him off with a look that could shatter walls. "Finish that sentence," he said quietly, "if you truly believe it." The director swallowed hard, unable to continue. Elias turned to the compliance officer. "How many supervisors signed off on Vanessa's falsified clean record?" "6, she whispered. "Across 3 regional stations." "And how many managers closed complaints without investigation?" 14. "And how many union representatives blocked escalation?" A painful pause. 3. "So," Elias said, "this wasn't one woman's act of violence. It was a network of protection that allowed her to hurt passengers for years." A heavy silence filled the room. SkyWest Global had not just failed Maya, it had enabled the person who slapped her. The communications team pulled up the live social media board. "The story has reached 7 continents," the director reported, voice shaking. "Airline analysts are predicting passenger boycotts. Advocacy groups are speaking out. Civil rights attorneys have issued statements. The UN posted a comment about humane travel standards." Elias nodded once. He had expected this. "And the stock?" he asked. "Down 9% since market open." Murmurs rippled, but Elias didn't flinch. "This company is not sinking," he said. "It is being purified." At that moment, the door clicked. Maya stepped inside, holding her baby against her chest. Executives rose instinctively, some out of respect, others out of guilt. The world might have been burning, but Maya stood in that room with quiet dignity, wearing the same clothes from the night before. Her cheek bore the faint bruise of Vanessa's slap. Her baby slept peacefully against her heart. Seeing her made everything real. Elias crossed to her immediately. "How are you feeling?" he asked softly. "Tired," Maya said, "but I'm here." He guided her to a chair beside him. The HR director spoke first. "Mrs. Carter, we are all deeply sorry for what you experienced. If there's anything we can—" Maya raised a hand gently. "I didn't come for apologies," she said quietly. "I came because the truth deserves more than whispers." Executives exchanged uneasy glances. Maya continued. "What happened to me was not an isolated incident. The pattern in those files proves it. So the question isn't, how did this happen? It's, Why was it allowed to keep happening? No one dared respond. She looked down at her son's small face. When Vanessa slapped me, I didn't care about myself, Maya whispered. I cared about the baby who felt my body jolt. I cared about the people watching me like I was an intruder. I cared about every woman who was bullied into silence. Her voice didn't shake. It cut through the room like truth shaped into steel. A PR manager wiped a tear. Another looked away, ashamed. Maya finished quietly. If my humiliation is what forces change, then let it speak. The lead attorney closed her laptop. Mrs. Carter, are you willing to speak at the press conference tonight? Not as a prop, not for PR, but as the voice for every passenger who was dismissed. Maya hesitated, then whispered, Yes. Elias placed a hand over hers. You don't have to, he said. I do, Maya replied, because silence protects cruelty. A few executives nodded solemnly. Then it's decided, Elias said. Tonight, we speak openly, and Maya speaks with us. The communications director stepped forward. The press room is ready. Media outlets are already lining up. This will be the most watched statement in our company's history. Elias nodded. Good, he said. Let the world watch. The press room at SkyWest Global headquarters had never held this much silence. Not the quiet of emptiness, but the quiet of anticipation. Rows of cameras blinked red, live stream feeds humming, journalists shoulder to shoulder. Over 200 reporters filled the seats. Hundreds more watched from overflow rooms. Millions watched online. The moment she appeared, the crowd changed. Maya Carter stepped onto the stage with her 7-month-old son resting against her chest, his tiny hand curled around her blouse. She wasn't wearing makeup. She wasn't dressed in designer clothes. She still wore the soft sweater she'd traveled in, the same one she'd been slapped in. But tonight, under the glare of cameras, she didn't look like a victim. She looked like a witness, a truth-teller, a mother who refused to be erased. Elias stood just behind her, not overshadowing her, not leading her, just present, solid, a fortress at her back. The murmurs in the room quieted when Maya approached the podium. She took a breath. Thousands held theirs. My name is Maya Carter, she began softly. I'm a wife, a mother, and last night I lived through something I never want another woman to experience. Click, click, cameras captured every word. She looked down at her sleeping baby, then back up. When I boarded Flight 739, I just wanted to get home. I didn't want trouble. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I didn't even move fast enough to be considered rude. A pause, long enough to feel the tremor under her calm. But I was humiliated anyway. The room leaned forward. A flight attendant slapped me while I held my child. Crew members believed her lies. Passengers supported her lies. And I was dragged off the plane as if I were dangerous, unstable, unworthy of the seat I paid for. Her voice didn't shake, but the microphones captured the faintest quiver of her breath. When I walked down that aisle, people looked at me like I was a criminal, and I kept whispering to my son that everything would be okay, even though I didn't believe it. A journalist in the front row wiped her eye. Maya continued, I didn't fight back because I couldn't risk dropping my baby. I didn't scream because I knew it would only make things worse. I stood there quietly. And the quieter I got, the more they accused me. A murmur rippled through the room. Maya inhaled deeply. And what broke me wasn't the slap. It was the way the whole cabin looked at me, like they had already decided I was guilty before I opened my mouth. Her eyes shimmered, not with tears, but with conviction. Then she said softly, But the Lord says, He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. The room went utterly still. I held onto that last night, Maya whispered, even when I felt completely alone. Behind her, Elias placed a hand on the podium, not to interrupt her, but to show every camera exactly where he stood. Maya rested her hand on his briefly, then faced the crowd again. Today, this airline took action. Vanessa Lorne has been terminated. The managers who buried complaints have been suspended. Investigations are opening across multiple bases, and for the first time, the truth is not being hidden behind NDAs. The screens beside her lit up, a list of reforms Elias would announce after she spoke. New anti-discrimination policies, mandatory body cam integration for crew, passenger ombudsman program, reopening every suppressed complaint. But the world wasn't looking at the screens. It was looking at Maya. Because she wasn't speaking from a script, and she wasn't performing. She was remembering. "I'm not here for revenge," Maya said. "I'm not here for financial settlements. I'm here because I don't want my son to grow up thinking his mother stayed silent when she had the chance to speak." Click, flash, flash. "And I'm here because I want every passenger who's ever been silenced to know this. You deserved better. You deserve to be heard, and now you will be." Her baby stirred. Maya rocked him gently, never breaking eye contact with the audience. "I don't want this moment to be about anger," she continued. "I want it to be about change. I want airlines, every airline, to remember that people don't stop being human when they board a plane." A man near the back whispered, "Amen." When Maya stepped back from the microphone, the first claps were tentative. A few hands, a few brave sounds, then a wave. All at once, the entire room rose to its feet. Journalists, camera operators, security guards, staff, executives, standing, applauding, honoring the woman who refused to be erased. Maya didn't bow or smile or look triumphant. She only held her baby closer. Elias stepped forward finally, placing a hand on her shoulder as he approached the podium. But this moment wasn't his. It was hers. He leaned toward her, voice gentle enough only she could hear. "You just changed everything," he whispered. Maya exhaled, trembling not from fear, but from release. Her truth had finally been spoken, and the world had listened. For a long moment after Maya left the stage, the world seemed to hold its breath. Outside the headquarters, a wall of reporters surged forward, shouting questions that ricocheted through the marble lobby. Social media exploded in real time. Clips, commentary, hashtags, support pouring in from strangers across every continent. But inside the building, the real transformation was happening quietly. Executives moved with urgency. Departments formed rapid response teams. Legal officers drafted sweeping reform documents. Crew training protocols were rewritten. Complaint systems were restructured. Flight operations implemented emergency oversight. Elias did not take a victory lap. He went straight to work. And Maya, exhausted but steady, sat in a private lounge holding her baby while the aftershocks of her testimony shook an entire industry. A young employee entered the lounge timidly, carrying 2 printouts. "Mrs. Carter?" she asked. "These just came in. I thought you'd want to see them." Maya smiled softly. "What are they?" The girl, barely 22, swallowed. "Passenger testimonies. From people on your flight. They're coming in by the dozens." She placed them on the table. Maya skimmed the first page. "I was there, and I lied, because everyone else lied. I'm sorry. I regret it deeply." The next, "I didn't see everything, but I saw fear in your eyes. I should have spoken up." Another, "I'm a mother too, and watching that video, I can't stop thinking about how you held your baby through all of it. You're stronger than I ever realized." Maya felt her eyes fill, not because the apologies healed the wound, but because truth was finally louder than fear. She looked at the young employee. "Thank you for bringing these." The girl blinked rapidly, as if holding back tears. "I was so scared to come in," she admitted, "but your strength today made me want to be brave too." Maya touched her arm gently. "Bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's standing anyway." The girl nodded, cheeks flushed. "Mr. Carter said he'll join you shortly." Minutes later, Elias entered the lounge, his expression softer than it had been in days. The furnace of fury that carried him through the past 24 hours was still there, but now it had changed shape. Now it was direction, purpose, leadership reborn. He sat beside her, touching the baby's tiny back. "It's done," he said quietly. "What is?" Maya asked. "The reforms," he replied. "The entire airline structure is changing. Every suppressed complaint will be reopened. Independent investigators are being brought in. Every crew member will undergo new mandatory ethics and bias training. We're launching passenger advocates at every major airport." Maya exhaled slowly. "That's a lot." "It's the least," Elias corrected. A soft silence settled between them. Then Maya whispered, "I didn't expect the world to listen." "They didn't just listen," Elias said. "They believed you." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "And they believed you," she murmured. Elias looked at her, marveling. "I believed in you long before any of this." The baby stirred, yawning, as if the world's chaos didn't touch him. "That's what this is about," Maya said softly, kissing her son's head. "Not revenge, not punishment, a future where this never has to happen again." Elias nodded. "A future where he grows up knowing his mother changed an industry." Outside, large screens downtown replayed clips from Maya's speech. The world was calling her the mother who wouldn't break, the woman who changed an airline. Courage on camera. Advocacy groups requested interviews. Civil rights organizations praised her. Airlines across the country called emergency meetings to avoid becoming the next viral cautionary tale. Maya didn't want fame. She wanted dignity. For herself, for her child, for every person who had ever been dismissed. And she had won that, not by force, not by anger, by truth. Back in the lounge, Elias kissed her forehead. "You did something impossible today," he whispered. Maya smiled tiredly. "I didn't do it alone." "No," Elias agreed. "You did it with God beside you." She nodded, eyes soft. "Every moment I felt broken. Every second they tried to crush me. He held me up." She looked down at her sleeping baby. "And he reminded me who I was." In the days that followed, Maya learned something she never expected. Sometimes God does not stop the fire. Sometimes he walks you through it, so the world finally sees what the flames were built to hide. Maya had endured humiliation, bias, violence, and isolation. But she also discovered that faith whispered louder than fear. Her courage became a doorway, one opening toward justice, healing, and systemic change. And through it all, one truth stood unshaken. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Not the slap, not the lies, not the voices that tried to drown her. Because God did not simply rescue Maya, he used her to expose injustice, to restore dignity, to protect the future of her child and countless others. And that is the value of her story. When you speak truth with faith, even broken moments can become holy ground. If this story moved you, challenged you, or reminded you to stand firm even when the world stands against you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with Dignity Voices for more powerful, faith-filled cinematic stories. Your next story is waiting. Your voice matters.